Welcome, Dr. James Beckett, Sports Card Insights. This is the second part of my conversation with Tony Goza about the future of shows. I think shows in the future are going to be fun and good and interesting and probably a little bit different than what we had. And Tony's going to do one next April that is going to bring in some new elements. So I thought that's worth sharing with you. Thanks sponsors, Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, Heritage Auctions, Huggins & Scott Auctions, Mike's Stadium Sports Cards, Burbank Sports Cards, ComC.com, and Beckett Media, Beckett Grading, Beckett Authentication. Thanks, Tony, for reaching out, and best to you in your show endeavors. Here's the last part of the conversation with Tony, and I really enjoyed it.
I really don't want to nickel and dime either the vendors nor the people coming in supporting the show. That's also why we're not charging parking.
Oh, really? Okay.
And our admission to get in will be $10. But profit's not a bad word. However, I stand firm about wanting this to be a family experience. When you start adding up a bunch of tickets and then parking, and I get why people have to do it.
Are they cutting you a deal though? Are they saying, hey, Tony, we want to see if this will work. Please come and do this. And this may be a replicable concept that we could have fun with for a long time. Are they working with you?
Look, I've got a really good relationship with the Choctaw Nation. They've been very helpful. Are they giving it to me for free? Absolutely not. For me, it's a huge chunk. But honestly, at the end of the day, it's worth it. We're not going to have a problem selling these booths out. Okay. And our booth spaces are mid to low end price point.
Are you going to be drawn from St. Louis and Houston and Dallas and Oklahoma City and Arkansas and 4 or 5 states? Or what is your concept for where people are going to come from?
We're going to market in a lot of places. And just for what it's worth, we have not officially even announced the show. I've been working on the website on the back end, and we're getting our ticket thing up and going with our vendors. But this is the first time I'm really talking about it out loud. Like the contract's already been signed with Choctaw. I was at the chamber this morning for a meeting. A lot of cogs in motion right now.
I hope it's a big success. If we're going to get to 10X, we're going to be having more shows in casinos, in stadiums, in concert venues where you've already got the parking, you've got the venue, and maybe it's in conjunction with some other event where it's, like I say, family friendly. I think you're on the right track there.
After the load in, all the VIPs and VIP guests, we're going to go next door to the casino tentatively. I'm still waiting to hear back for finals, but the goal is to go to the league across the street inside the casino for the draft party.
Oh, cool.
Special. So it'll be a great opportunity for networking with like-minded people. So there's that. I want to do a charitable fundraiser for cystic fibrosis, some box breaks. And that's another thing. We have a stage, but on the stage, what I'd like to do is offer some breaks throughout the day with different vendors, set up the Wi-Fi so they can live stream to their platforms. And then we're going to reach out to some guests, some celebrities or athletes, and see which ones would like to partake in doing a box opening, a box break. The people involved in these breaks are auctioning the spots off with all the money going to cystic fibrosis.
Are you going to have signers, celebrities, autograph guests?
We're going to work on that. I know Choctaw's got a lot of good relationships. I'd love to get Johnny Bench here.
Good point. In the 20th century, you just went to the show and you walked around and you listened with your ears and you saw with your eyes, and you had to go to the payphone. But now everybody's got a smartphone, and your goal for the show of the future is for the promoter to make sure the attendees, the collectors, the buyers can immediately get into your ecosystem, into your virtual world that lets them know in one spot on their phone when they should show up at the autograph line for Johnny Bench or anybody, if some dealer's having a special or this dealer has something you're looking for. There would be a connection point, because I don't know anybody that goes to a card show now without a smartphone. As long as the Wi-Fi or the 5G or whatever is good, that you've got connectivity, then once they're there and you're educating them to tap into your QR code to get some benefits and some knowledge and access to things, I think that's the way it's going to be in the future, that you're not wandering around aimlessly.
I don't see that as being something that we cannot build, even for this show.
I'm saying that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah. I like it. That may be the way to do it. Even for those that didn't get VIP passes, they may not have known. They may have seen it in the local paper. And, well, let's go to the show.
And then they
didn't have
get
the
there and they don't know what to do. And you can direct them. I had another crazy idea. Okay. If you were able to rate the dealers as to the quality of their inventory, and again, it can't be necessarily just your judgment or my judgment. If there was a reward for the dealer, the highest rated dealer at the show had first choice of where his or her booth would be, and they could pick. But the other thing I was thinking is I like the idea, if you were starting a show from scratch, to clustering the vintage dealers from the brand new modern dealers. What if the prime spot number one for the best vintage dealer, as evaluated by the attendees, or maybe based on past history, is table one, which is as you walk in right on the right. So if you turn to the right, it's in order, all the vintage dealers. But if you turn left, it's all the modern dealers, starting with the highest rated one and working your way down around. And the back, like you say, you've got the milk, you've got the graders, you've got things that people are going to go back to that anyway. And Pokemon could be in the back, let's say. But if somebody was a newbie and they came in and said, look, if you're interested in old stuff, just turn to the right. That's where all those good guys are. And the first guy right there is the friendliest guy. Obviously, you can't just talk his ear off. And if you turn to the left, it's going to be a bunch of modern guys. They're going to help you if you're interested in today's current players and this year's and last year's sets and products. If you're going to be at a new venue like that hasn't had a card show, there's going to be a high percentage of people coming that have not been to a card show. And you've got the chance of educating them and making sure they have a good experience. Because a lot of the mall shows that we used to go to were completely disorganized. If you ever remember doing those back decades ago, there'd be just a bunch of tables and who knows where they were. They'd be behind a palm tree or something. You had no idea where people were, and there'd be somebody great, but they were around the corner. You never saw them. So you've got the chance to reinvent and disrupt. So that's why I was looking forward to talking to you, because it sounds like you're excited about this. And I love it when people are excited that are going to do stuff. I don't have to do anything except encourage you, Tony.
You encourage me just by listening to you. But what would that look like? We would separate vintage on one side.
It may be too late, except that it'd be simpler to tell people. The older cards are to the right and the other ones to the left. It'd be hard to police it, Tony. And there are people that have both. So I don't think it's feasible. Although the Strongsville show is well known now for being primarily a vintage show. People go because it's a vintage show. And some shows are heavy on the Pokemon or heavy on the newer or the wax and stuff like that. And the national and the huge shows have it all, but it's largely disorganized.
Look at that vintage row.
Vintage row would be good. In fact, that's what the shows were back 50 years ago when I used to have tables. It was all vintage row. And the thing is, when I went to the bathroom, I could just go to the bathroom because on either side of me was somebody I'd known for a long time. I trusted. It was a lot smaller and simpler in those days. So if the vintage guys are in a vintage row, they look out for each other generally. So I like that.
So what do you think the percentages would be as far as vintage proportion to modern and so forth?
I think in your show, it'll be more modern.
So 30% vintage?
Maybe. Yeah, something like that. Although it could be 30% Pokemon.
Yeah, Pokemon and the
you allow for it. And the TCG stuff. Now that you're getting up to speed on that, that's legit.
We're going to have a space for them to do tournaments too.
Yeah, I love that.
The venue is big enough to where we can, in theory, direct how many, as far as booths go. We could feasibly make that happen. I have a couple of rows dedicated for vintage.
I think that helps people if it's completely disorganized, not organized at all. I think that could be confusing. If it has some level of organization without being rigid, I think that's okay.
Something else I got from you, I'm going to get a couple of the high schools, make a small donation to their sports programs, and have them helping guide people to different areas. I remember you talking about
you got people that care about your area, and they need to be some hobby knowledge. Surely there'd be some of them in there.
I've got people at the college level. that play sports, football, basketball, and high school. I've been out there for sports photography. I've donated my time many times. We're a sponsor at the school where my wife, she's a professor. She's a vice president for academic affair over there now at Southeastern Oklahoma State University. There's some students there that play on the sports programs that are regular clients of mine. So they would be fantastic. So we've got people that can help other folks when they come into the venue, help guide them, let them know where to find vintage, where to find Pokemon.
Since it is going to be right next to a casino in the complex, you would think that the guide would say, oh, by the way, there's some gambling right across the street there when you're done. After you've sold these cards, you can parlay your sales into double your money at the blackjack table.
I'm sure that will probably be going on.
It could happen, but I don't think
we get a lot
your
of
high school athletes doing that.
We get a lot of customers from the casino that come
For
over
sure.
after they've been in the poker tournaments or blackjack or the slots or whatever. They'll come over here to buy some cards to bring back to the hotel room to open them up over there.
I think it's easier to make money at the sports card show compared to the casino. The house rules.
Always in favor.
And people are criticizing gambling aspects of the hobby, but just like the gambling aspects of a casino, it is not rigged in an illegal way. The gambling is regulated, the percentages the houses take is articulated, and they don't need to cheat because they're making plenty of money there. In fact, if somebody tries to cheat, they've got to kick them out because it has to be fair. It's right. The odds are still a little bit against you, but it's fair in that way. And that's the same thing in the hobby. You don't mind if you get a box that doesn't yield what you wanted it to yield, but it wasn't stripped or there wasn't cheating involved. It's just some people are going to win big and most people are not going to win. And that's accepted in the casino, and it needs to be accepted by the breakers. And it's fun going to the casino, fun going to a show or opening up products.
Absolutely. I tell customers when they come in the store, look, buy when it's fun. If it's not fun, don't go chasing. If you're chasing because you enjoy it, so be it. I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money. But there is a gambling aspect to this. If you're looking for a specific card, then find that specific card. But when you go to open up packs, do it because you enjoy doing it, because it makes you smile. You're opening it up with your families. I always encourage that rather than seeing somebody come in there trying to spend their rent money, trying to hit the big card.
Tony, it's the same thing at the casino. They're chasing something. They're chasing a win, and they have this fallacy that if I keep doubling down, I'm eventually going to win. No, you're eventually going to run out of money. So chasing is not a good idea because you're chasing based on bets that are less than a 50-50. There's some big paydays. There's always somebody that's going to win, but it's most likely not going to be you. So there's a lot of parallels there. Nobody's saying, hey, don't go to Choctaw or any place else to do that because people go because it's fun. And sure, they want to win, but if they don't win, they don't say, I'm never going back. But if they're a problem gambler, then they need to get help. And some people are.
Yeah. Your thoughts on the idea of the kiosk for transparency? Would dealers be upset with that aspect? Because you would think if they weren't, people would be doing this already.
Dealers will think you're taking money out of their pocket. Any kind of an app or any kind of a kiosk or interface that allows the people at the show to buy cards that are not there, that are not on that particular dealer's table. It's a bit small-minded, but they say, hey, I'm here, I'm set up, I paid for my booth. I want the people in the room to be buying the stuff that's in the room. That's why they don't like collectors coming in to buy other collectors' stuff. The transactions ought to be between the collectors and the dealers, or between the dealers and the dealers. Yeah. But the collectors shouldn't get a free lunch. And when collectors have this option, but the problem, Tony, is that they already do. They can take a break from the show and go bid on something at eBay. Or they can say, I'm not buying this here because it's available on eBay. Sure, I'm going to have to pay shipping, but it's still a better deal and I got to wait a couple of weeks.
Just so we're clear, if I'm doing the kiosk, it's going to be for the stuff we have in our showcases at the show, not for what we have in the store.
Make that clear. On the other hand, that means you yourself are competing with your dealers.
Do you find that problematic if we had a booth there?
If you do it the second time you do a show and you introduce it. If it's the first time, it's just part of the deal. And it's part of the way you're defraying the cost. So they know from the get-go that you're the promoter, but you're also the host, and you're promoting the hobby, and you have your own store that you're representing. And you're not going to get all the customers. In fact, some of the enterprising things you've done, it will cause them to say, we need to do that.
My thought process on the reasoning for doing it is perhaps maybe this is something that we will license out at some point
Absolutely.
on the system for other stores. Because I've already had other stores that have visited the store to ask us, they brag about the way it's set up and designed for our platform, for people to look through our showcases or cards that we have in the back. And they keep on saying, are you going to license this out to other stores? And I'm like, not right now, because I want to make sure it's a well-oiled machine. But if we set up a small spot there so people can visit our booth and they can say, hey, this is what we have set up at our store.
If it's presented that way, if your marketing is something that's going to make it easier for collectors and easier for dealers, and you're not going to hold anybody hostage, it's a demo. And it's showing, like I said, I think the hobby of the future is going to be melding the virtual, digital, and real life elements. That when you're at the show and got Ray-Ban Meta glasses, that when you see it at the table, it'll process it for you probably. That's surely coming in the next year or two.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to integrate that. And the first time they do it, it won't be that good. But after a year, AI is iterating toward improvement at the speed of thinking it practically.
Yeah. It's not without its flaws, but you're absolutely right. It's hugely improving.
Right. Every quarter, every month. Yeah.
Every day.
But people get burned. Card Ladder and Market Movers and our price guides back in the day, there has to be some vetting because it can be garbage in, garbage out. If you're tapping into a data source that's contaminated, you could be led astray. And so I'd hate to see that. But I wish you well. I don't know if you're hitting the Dallas show very much, but Kyle Robertson does a great job down here.
I've been to several of his shows.
He's not trying to reinvent shows as much as he's trying to get back to the old-time roots of the show. Not too many sponsors and not too many autograph guests, but it's mainly featuring the dealers and mainly sports cards. And he's doing a good job of keeping it understandable in that way. And allowing trade nights that have been fun as well. My guess is if it's enjoyable, you will make money. Maybe not the first one, but you will make money if you create something that people want to come to and tell their friends. That's what I tried to do in my business. I wanted to do something that was good enough that people said, I like this. I want to tell my friends. And I started making money $2.50 at a time. Start small and build.
The man in the house of cards is doing